How many concussions is too many concussions?
One.
One bad one.
I'm very smart, so I just thought I'd share that fact with you guys. Don't break your femurs. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to a brand new Lush Life video. I'm your host, Leon, joined here by my wife and co-host, the illustrious Mrs. Lush. Honey, we have another video I selected for you today. Most of you know how much she fell in love with the last Wired personality called Victor Sweeney. He was a mortician and he was fielding Twitter questions about dead body stuff, which was very interesting. My wife is a nurse.
Side note, we're best friends now.
Yeah,
Victor and I.
Her and Victor Sweeney, they go out on platonic dates. It's cool. It's fine. I don't mind it.
We talk about science.
Yes, they talk about science and dead bodies. So my wife is a nurse and a bit of an anatomy nerd. So they have a new guy on here. He's an ER doctor fielding questions about ER injuries, which I think could be interesting.
Hey, I'm Dr. J. Max Slaughter, and I'll be answering your questions from Twitter today.
Hold the phone.
Yeah. His name is Dr. Slaughter.
Dr. Slaughter, the ER doc.
Amazing.
They do this on purpose, right? It's like, oh, look, a handsome ER doctor, and his name's J. Max Slaughter. Cha-ching. Let's try to get another 20 million view Wired video, which is what the Victor Sweeney one got.
Mama.
No one will ever usurp Victor as far as my biggest crush on YouTube, and yours either.
I mean,
J. Max
I hope he marries a nurse. Nurse Slaughter.
Sid,
Dr. Slaughter.
How many concussions is too many concussions?
One?
One. One bad one.
I was going to say, one bad concussion.
I think everybody knows that.
One bad concussion is all it takes, dude.
I can F you up.
A concussion is the state that you are in mentally, temporarily, after a mild traumatic brain injury. The symptoms range from decreased attention span, lethargy or feeling really tired, feeling a little confused, severe headaches, light sensitivity, and nausea, the feeling that you're gonna throw up. So there's a very wide range of symptoms that you can have with this condition. I'd say the most feared outcome of multiple concussions is something called
CTE, there you go.
Chronic traumatic encephalopathy. People with chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a lot of them are boxers or football players who get repetitive head traumas, end up with very severe issues long-term, like dementia, really bad headaches, behavioral changes, aggressiveness, and suicidality. There was one study that showed that about 17 concussions was the average of a lot of people who had chronic traumatic encephalopathy. But the answer is avoid concussions at all costs.
I was going to say, well, so what's the answer? Just don't get concussions.
So if you get 15 or 16, you might be okay.
You're fine, yeah, but 17,
that's actually a higher number than I thought. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm curious. I've never seen a number put to it.
Yeah.
Because there's so many variables, obviously.
Like you said, it just depends on the severity of what
17
any given concussion.
Mild ones versus 5 bad ones. Like, I don't know, but it is nuts though. Like people like Junior Seau, seeing some of these NFL athletes that, you know, go through unbelievable late life trauma, and a lot of them get deeply depressed. There's been suicides, there's been murder suicides, all like just complete behavioral change because the anatomy of your brain is completely shifted, I guess. And the sad part is, like, you look at football in the 80s and the 90s, like that was like vintage football when there was no rules
there was
about
some serious hitting.
And like that's true entertainment, like gladiator, bloodshed, but obviously that I don't disagree that it should be made safer. It's kind of barbaric to watch people just.
The rules are also feel a bit extreme when you're watching a game sometimes.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Holohona. What happens when you break a bone and don't set it back correctly?
What do you think?
I could tell you about that.
Oh, actually, that's very true. I wish you could get closer to the camera.
It heals wrong and sticks out of your rib cage and hurts you sometimes when you twist a certain way.
Where the fracture is, how severe the fracture is, and how well aligned the bones
how
are.
displaced
I hear about
it is.
people,
it heals wrong.
You know, really hurting themselves. A bone is, you know, facing in the wrong direction. They're like, I'm gonna be a man and just fix it on the spot. Don't do that. You have no idea what injury that looks like under the surface of your skin. It may not need any realignment at all. So do not try to set your bones back. Do not try to put your dislocations back in place. Please don't do this at home. Also, is it going into a joint? A joint is basically where two bones meet.
Yeah, you want to make sure that heals correctly.
Our body.
Yeah, we have joints all over our body. If you
He's very enthusiastic. Leave him alone.
Don't do that.
He's not wrong.
No, yeah, Jay Slott.
I think I've dislocated my shoulder. Help. How do I know if I've dislocated it?
It's a stupid question. It's very obvious.
I think you'll know.
Yeah, you'll know. Because guess what? You can't move your arm if it's actually dislocated. Happened to me in high school.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
In high school? Football?
Yeah. I had a dislocation and multiple partial separations, which like wreak havoc on the labrum. Is that what it's called?
Well, there's labrum, yes, but
It's like the cartilage that surrounds the ball joint to keep it in place, right?
how did it happen though?
Oh, just different ways of landing on it wrong and stuff. And after the dislocation, it like weakens it for a while. So like
So it's likely to happen again.
Exactly.
Yes,
so
yes,
it continued to
yes.
happen. Super painful. One of the reasons I actually decided not to play football in college is because I had some outstanding shoulder injuries that affected me for over a decade. I couldn't do like overhead lifts and stuff. All these years later, I feel like it's been enough time and I've, worked out and stayed injury free for long enough. It feels pretty good now. Like almost can't tell.
You stayed on the couch for long enough?
Yeah. So I watched enough Netflix to where my shoulder doesn't even bother me anymore.
It's fine.
It's crazy.
I broke my femur in a car wreck,
Oh.
and I have some cues. By the way, this is a terribly painful experience. So
I've heard that femur's the worst bone you can break, possibly, right? You can die from a broken femur,
course,
can't you?
yes,
Because it's like the biggest bone in your body, incredible blood loss, all this stuff. I'm very smart, so I just thought I'd share that fact with you guys. Don't break your femurs.
It's really bad.
I feel like it has to be a pretty traumatic injury, like accident for it to happen, because femurs are generally very, very strong as well.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
I'm
I know.
having a flashback moment.
Yeah, you broke your femur?
No!
You saw an injury?
On a kid.
Ah.
Yeah.
I knew someone who broke their femur in a tubing accident.
It's really
in
bad.
high school. Didn't walk the same for a very, very long time. Yeah.
how much force does it take to break a friggin' femur? How do they get that
Quite a bit.
rod in there? Don't I need that missing bone marrow? And how do these heal before this surgery existed?
That's a lot of questions.
It's a lot of force.
That
The
is.
answer is about 4,000 newtons of force. 4,000 newtons is
What?
about equivalent to 900
4,000
pounds
big
here
newtons.
on Earth's gravity. So you can think of like a sea lion or a really big moose.
A sea lion, a moose, or 4,000 fig newtons just piled up on your femur. That's all the force it takes. You know what's so funny you even said that? Because I hadn't had fig newtons in probably 10 years, but when I went to donate...
Why are fig newtons funny?
I donated blood last week, and I have the little snack area after? Out of all of the things, Doritos, Cheetos, I chose a sleeve of fig newtons because I hadn't had them in like 20 years, and they were delicious. I swear to God. I was like, ooh, fig newtons.
I can't picture you eating
I
them.
forgot those existed. Oh my God. I didn't think I'd be laughing about fig newtons today, but here we are.
About broken
It all
femurs.
came from a broken femur question.
I'm just so confused that you picked those.
I picked the fig newtons. I couldn't believe
You didn't
it.
tell me this. This is like something I needed to know about you.
I think subconsciously I thought, and this is probably their marketing scheme, that it would be healthier than like Cheetos. It's all just processed sugar, obviously.
I'm not so
But it's
sure.
like, oh, it's a fig. Fig's like a
Oh,
fruit.
yeah, they got
right?
some healthy stuff for you, yeah.
There's like 1% of the fig in the processed jam they put inside of those.
That is
I'm
the
dying.
amount of force that it takes. You think about
That's a lot of
surgeries
force.
in general.
That's a lot of
as
fig
being
newtons.
very like gentle, precise operation. Orthopedic surgeries are not gentle. They're
No.
putting force in their
Yeah,
knees and muscles. Because
Gross.
Yeah, I know. So I did a video recently on people. There's a surgery that people can get to try and be taller, and it's like a leg lengthening
Yeah.
thing. They drill in, smash your femur, install one of those rods, but it has a device where you can will slowly
God.
extend. It's like the most excruciating shit, and people will do it to become like 5'8" when they're 5'6" or something. It's insane.
Oh my God.
But yeah, when I was doing the video, there was a quick clip of the procedure where they like take a thing and it's just like, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
ah! Purposely breaking your femur. What's fucking wrong with people, dude? Just accept being a short king. It's not that big of a deal unless you're trying to make a Tinder profile.
Or get with
And
Mrs.
you
Lush.
can just laugh. Jesus. Sorry, you off
I
the
need to
market.
excuse
You're off
myself.
the market anyways.
And you
Yeah, hey,
excuse myself from
Take
this
a breather,
video.
go have a fig Newton, come back in a minute. All right, Jesus.
genuinely requires a significant amount of force to get these surgeries done and to put bones back in place.
Mm-hmm.
To get that rod into your femur, they basically have to align it where the cavity is,
Right.
where your bone marrow is, okay? And it's called an intra medullary rod. They align it and they take a big old hammer and they go glunk, 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 glunk,
I'm
glunk,
picturing
until
it.
it's all the way in there. So it is
Jesus.
violent and it takes a lot of force and it's impressive to see. Don't
No
I need
thanks.
that missing bone marrow? Nah, you really don't. I mean, you have bone marrow throughout the rest of your bones. You'll be fine. Last question. How did these heal before this surgery existed? And the answer is very, very poorly.
Yeah.
They probably didn't heal very well at all. That person maybe never walked again.
Yeah.
If you were in a car accident in the 1500s.
Yeah. Before surgery was
If you
a
were
thing?
in a
Yeah.
car accident in the 1500s, more like a horse accident, I guess, back then. A horse accident would be an easy place to break a
Did he
femur.
just say car accident in the 1500s?
Yeah, he was joking.
Oh,
He
yeah,
was like
yeah.
saying it cheek. But I would say a horse full of Fig Newtons falling on your leg would be enough to break
That
a femur
would definitely
too.
do it. Or
Probably
even
a lot
just
of,
flinging you off.
a lot of broken femurs in the horse and buggy days, or westerns.
Why are shin splints so painful? So
They
shin
really are.
splints
Good
are known
question.
as median tibial stress syndrome. And that's basically where there's inflammation of a lot of the structures that are there around your tibia. Your tibia is this long bone here in
Yes.
your lower extremity right next to your fibula, which is the skinnier bone that runs along the side. Runners always get these shin splints. A lot of cheerleaders get shin splints.
Just like
and
repeated
these
impact
can be very,
or
very
anything?
painful. Now, here's the thing,
Repetitive
though.
motion.
That pain should resolve with rest.
Rest.
Definitely get seen if that pain doesn't resolve with cessation of that activity. This is
And the problem is a lot of times people that are runners or
Yeah,
they're training so they don't want to rest.
Yeah, so they just
And
keep
it
going.
takes
It can
time.
eventually turn into like hairline fractures, right? It was.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm making things up now.
It's just very painful.
I went for a run
inflamed.
on pavement yesterday for the first time in a long time, and
Yes.
it was, dude, my body was
A lot of
not used to
questionable
it.
activities going on
Yeah,
lately.
yeah, we're eating Fig Newtons. I'm running outside as a 250
Donating blood
pound
just to
man.
be a good human.
Yeah, I can't believe it. And yeah, I was. Listen, I've been a biker, you know, the Peloton, so
Yeah.
like my shins were not accustomed to it, so I had to like run in shifts.
Yeah.
Run walk. Typically, when I run outside, I do intervals anyways.
And probably a little bit of it's preventative too, like with getting the right footwear.
Absolutely, yeah. The arch in your foot, the right footwear, the right shoe, the right insole. There's a whole there's an entire science to it in the running industry. Imagine running for fun. Oh my God.
Don't laugh. I want to try it sometime.
It's
Not
the
yet.
worst.
what is a defibrillator? Do I have to be
Ooh.
trained to use one? So a defibrillator
Barely.
is basically a device that administers electricity
To restart your
the
heart.
The bottom part of your heart are the ventricles, all right? And when the heart naturally does its thing, the top part squeezes first, the atria squeeze, the bottom part
J-Mac
squeezes
Slaughter.
after. Boom, 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 boom. So if the bottom part of the heart isn't given a good hearty
This guy is
squeeze
so
there,
animated.
It's unbelievable. This is quite the answer. They're
You're not
asking
going
about
to get blood flow to
defibrillators.
your brain
Yeah.
or to your extremities, and you're going to start dying. When you go into these dangerous heart rhythms, you get electricity to the heart as soon as possible. Ask for an AED or automatic external defibrillator. Don't be worried. You can do this. You can save someone's life. Call for 911 as well because they're trained. They're going to know what to do, especially in the field.
From what I understand, like a lot of places that are required to have these things like on the walls, like gyms. I haven't seen one or used one since college when I had to take a first responder course because of my major, but they're very like self-explanatory. You open them up, it's
Very,
like all the
very,
instructions,
very.
pull the things off, slap them
There's
on,
like-
and it
it
does it
talks to
itself.
you.
Yeah, it like speaks to you and tells you how to do it.
And there's just pictures. I mean, you got to put 2 pads on. Some have you do like here and here. Some have you do front and
Yeah.
back.
So
It tells you what to do. Hands off, shock advised, hit the button.
And so, J-Mac, I'll take this one for you. To answer your question, no, you don't need
You don't
to be
need
trained to
special
have
training.
one. The most important thing
You'd be better off trying to
Yeah.
use it than not.
in an incident of a heart arrhythmia is the sooner you can do it, the better. Like time is of the essence when there is lack of blood flow. So it's sure.
If someone's already dead,
It would
put it
be
on 'em.
great if there was a first responder or a doctor there, but yeah, the sooner the better. So
We should vote
don't
for the
wait.
house.
Don't wait. Yeah, for me, when I play video games, I'm definitely gonna have a cardiac event at some
Well, I'll
point.
never know. So
You can get an AED. It'll tell you to put these pads on the chest and on the back, and you're going to basically sandwich the heart, and
On the
that's going
back,
to make
too?
it to where the electricity
know that. Is that
runs.
new?
it's so
Depends on the brand.
yes. Some
Between
do
the 2
2 on the
pads.
front.
Yeah.
If you don't have access to an AED and or you're a professional,
CPR.
this is what you're
Someone's
going to
really
need.
big
This
and
is
you can't
called a
roll them
life
over.
pack.
Whoa, what
So
is
this
this,
bad
baby?
boy.
Oh, that's what they
That's
use
the
in the
badass
hospitals,
one.
right? Where they do the clear.
Yes, in the
of
on
machine.
the
What we do is
ambulance.
we hook this up to
What was the most overused hospital meme ever in Hollywood the past 30 years? Clear, right?
Oh,
That's
the metal
Yeah,
paddles?
the metal paddles and clear.
There's no jelly
we need
in metal
more,
paddles.
we need more
no.
voltage. Clear, like
And the
every
body just
dramatic.
flying off the table.
Every
yeah.
dramatic hospital scene from the 90s was someone getting shocked like this on a table, and like after 95 times, finally it's like bleep bleep. bleep, bleep. Everyone celebrates. It's a great movie. It's awesome. Yeah. Do they even use those things anymore? Like that's what that is,
I never
right?
see like the paddles. We just use those.
Yeah. Those
which
paddles
have the
are
pads,
like probably
the
from
sticky pads.
From the 80s, yeah.
Need defibrillation, or do they need something called synchronized cardioversion? This will
Sure, a lot of big words,
take
Slaughter.
someone who is inevitably
that
going
is
to die
so
and
cool and
bring them back to
complicated.
life very rapidly. This is one of the best inventions that modern medicine has, to be honest. So this
It's
is
actually
pretty
really cool.
You know what's interesting? You think about heart attacks and, just injuries and how people die. Like, there's obviously like physical blockages, but I would think one of the biggest causes of people dying from cardiac events is the actual just electrical part of your heart that's like responsible for making it beat, right? So like that's what AFib is, right? Essentially, it doesn't mean there's a blockage. It means your heart just like is having a seizure and it's not not beating, can't beat correctly. So you just need to reset the electrical piece of it.
I mean, you can live in AFib for a very long time.
Can you?
Yes.
Okay.
Not most people. A lot of people walking around in AFib and
aren't there like heart attacks that are not from blockages though? It's like just because
that's just cardiac arrest.
Cardiac arrest, right? Which is kind of what AFib is, isn't it? No, different.
Definitely not the same.
Yeah.
Both related
You're
to the
under
electrical
cardiac arrest.
activity of your heart, but not the same thing at all.
Question is from PT Works. And the question is, what is the most serious or painful injury you've ever encountered?
Are you
the
still
most serious
recovering?
injuries are the ones where the patient comes in dead.
It's like, that's it. Jesus. He's like right out of the gate.
Shit.
He's like, well, people die all the time. So I don't know, that doesn't get much more serious than that.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
They're already
on,
dead.
Like what hit what? So you'll say like motor vehicle versus like bicyclist
Ugh.
or train
Yikes.
versus pedestrian. You can imagine that train versus pedestrian was the most serious thing that I've seen in the emergency department. The guy, not to gross you out, but had a traumatic amputation. That is, his arm was ripped off from the force and he was already DEAD dead by the time he came in. And so that is the most serious injury that I've seen. Some of the most painful injuries.
Thanks for keeping it lighthearted, Slaughter. J. Max Slaughter talking about a dead person that was hit by a pedestrian. What an afternoon. Love it.
That I see actually are ones that cause ischemia. Now, ischemia is lack of blood flow to tissue or lack
painful?
of oxygen. So if there is an injury that either like rips the blood vessel apart or causes a certain abnormality that would decrease the blood flow to a certain area, that is exquisitely painful. Hopefully you never have to experience something like that.
Just lack of blood flow, is that painful to somewhere? I didn't even
Well, because
realize
like
it.
then the tissue's like
Starts to die.
dying.
Yeah, it's like just becomes necrotic over time, and I guess it's like all of your nerve endings are dying and being starved of.
it just depends on what he's talking about.
Yeah.
That was a very general answer.
That was, yeah. That's not what I would think. I would think of sort of like blunt trauma catastrophes types of things being. I feel like there's a certain point where it's
Kidney stones.
Yeah. I had a friend who had horrible kidney stones in high school.
I've seen some people really sick
It was
with
like
that stuff.
life changing for me.
It's just so common too.
Yeah.
Woof. Very painful.
I'm just glad I've never had one. Knock on wood.
How do you know if you have a broken rib asking for a friend?
Yes,
Leon Lush is your friend that's here to answer.
I know. I want to know. I don't know. But when I did get this injury snowboarding, I had no clue. I never went to the doctor for it because weirdly, I couldn't until it healed. I didn't notice the protrusion. Like, I don't know. It was very, very painful. I guess I'm going to listen to his answer because I'm curious because I didn't know at the time.
It's always asking for a friend. It's going to be very painful. If
Yes.
it hurts a lot or you're having any difficulty breathing,
Couldn't breathe.
you absolutely need to be seen. Because you can have pain on one side and you think, oh, it's just a broken rib, whatever. They don't do surgery on that, which is true.
Correct.
But what can happen is that rib, if that fractures and pokes your lung,
Right,
you
that's
can
problematic.
pop a lung. You can have a
You're
collapsed
just
lung. If you
pointing
get
out the
air
opposite way.
in your thoracic cavity that's outside of your lung, it can compress your lung to the point where, one, you have difficulty breathing, and two, you can put so much pressure in the thoracic cavity that you can cut off blood supply to the heart. You can squeeze the blood vessels closed that are responsible for getting blood back to the heart. And you can imagine it's only a matter of time before you die if you're not getting blood flow to your heart, because if you don't get blood flow to your heart, you don't get blood flow to the rest of your body. So if you think you have a rib fracture, get seen.
So long story short, I almost died. I'm
Yeah.
going to be on the next episode of Near Death Experiences that we do.
That's it.
I'm just glad my rib went out instead of in. That's what happened to Bledsoe, though, in the show we watched when he got injured and Tom Brady came in and won the Super Bowl that year. Smashed a rib and it, I think, punctured his lung or created something where he was
Oh
like,
yeah, I remember. I
he had-
didn't realize how.
severe it was. He had to be
Yeah.
like airlifted and stayed days in the hospital or something. It was pretty severe. So yeah, rib injuries on their own, if you break a rib, they don't do anything. So that's
They
what
hurt really freaking
I think
bad.
at the time I knew that. So I'm like, if it is broken, I'm not going to
They're
go
not gonna
and
do anything.
I was broke as a joke. So I'm like, I'm not going to go to the hospital and so they can be like, oh, sorry, your rib's broken. Here's a $50,000 bill for your fucking X-rays, and we're
some
going to do
Tylenol.
nothing. Yeah, here's some prescription Tylenol that you could buy over the counter. I was like, why would I go to the rib for that? I could, obviously it was very painful, but I could breathe. It didn't feel anything life-threatening. So there you go. It just heals wrong. It just heals funny. Like they don't ever set ribs, I guess, right? Sounds like it. So
I mean, I've never heard of it, but I've never seen anything like that either.
yeah.
Well, that was fun.
Yes. I hope
Thoroughly
you guys
enjoyed that.
I hope you guys appreciate.
I appreciate. It doesn't matter what they
Mrs.
think. I appreciate
That's right. Oh wow.
when you give me
Doesn't matter
some
what you guys
content
think.
that I can enjoy.
That is
Just kidding, I
interesting
love
for you. Yes, I hope that helped you guys get through Anatomy and Physiology 401 and your college exams. And I got some brownie points with the wife, so she'll come back and do more videos with
I'll
me.
buy you Fig Newtons next time I go to the store.
Buy me a sea lion full of Fig Newtons and see if my femur can hold up. Yeah, man. We appreciate you guys as always being here. We'll see you in the next video. Deuces.